What's the Church of Scientology so afraid of?
This is SPTV.
Welcome back for more SPTV coverage of the Danny Masterson trial live in Los Angeles. And just for you guys that are getting a little nostalgic for the good old days, let me give you a little bit of this.
Balake, where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. AA Ron.
All right, AA Ron is back. Just had to get that in there. Well. At the end of day 7, Jane Doe 1 is still undergoing cross-examination, and the judge actually had to tell the defense right at the end of the proceedings today. She said, I'm giving you 45 more minutes tomorrow morning to finish the cross-examination of Jane Doe 1. And that's it. And she made reference, she cited some decisions in some earlier cases about the court's discretion to limit cross-examination, because it's getting a little ridiculous. I wish I had some really exciting, riveting stuff to share with you guys. Unfortunately, court just isn't always exciting and riveting, especially when Philip Cohen is conducting a cross-examination and doesn't have anything to work with. So we'll work with whatever he's got. I'm going to give you some examples just so you really get a sense of why the judge would actually step in and say, that's it. You got 45 more minutes and you're done. So let's see. I have some examples here. I have several examples here. This isn't the main one that I want to give, but this is just an intro. So, guys, I want to do it justice painting this picture. Okay, in the update earlier today, I explained that Cohen has a visual aid that he shows. It's just like a chronological sequence of like 7 different interviews that Jane Doe 1 has given. And I'm going to read you some actual examples here of what I'm referring to, but I want to just frame it like this. He will. So imagine you're Jane Doe 1. You've spoken with different parties at least 7 different times. Some of it's in person, some of it's on the phone. Sometimes she's speaking to someone she's met before. Sometimes she's speaking with someone she's never met before, so she has no clear memory of the conversation, right? Having a phone conversation with someone you've never met before. It's one of 7 interviews you've had on the subject, and you're being asked whether you remember whether you said X to Betty on this exact date. So there's many instances where Philip Cohen will ask Jane Doe 1 a very innocent question. Did you tell Detective Reyes on April 13th? I got my dates wrong. On April 13th, 2003, do you remember telling Detective Reyes that you like Coca-Cola? This is totally not a real example. And Jane Doe 1 is obsessed with being as honest as possible, because you can see how lawyers will nitpick. And when I say honest, I mean as literal as possible. So she will go, I do not remember saying that because I don't distinctly remember that exact conversation. However, because I do like Coca-Cola, that is probably something I said. She goes, that sounds like something I would have said. Or, yes, I imagine I would have said that. He goes, did you say that? And she goes, I don't have a memory of the interview. And he goes, would reading the transcript of the report refresh your memory? And she goes, if you show me the transcript and it says that I said that, then I will agree with you. I must have said that. But you keep asking me if I remember saying it, and I don't remember saying it. And by the way, I'm being much more wordy than Jane Doe is. She's much more concise. I'm being dramatic here. And so he goes, well, would it refresh your memory? And she goes, maybe. And he goes, okay, read it. And then she reads it. And then he goes, does that refresh your memory? And she goes, well, no, but it says that I said that. And so I probably did. And rinse and repeat like 100 times, to the point where the judge has to step in, and tell Cohen, look, asked and answered. She's agreeing with what you're trying to get her to agree to. She's just not letting you put words into her mouth. Guys, I swear to God, it goes like this. Okay, so this is an actual back and forth. Guys, I swear to God, this is almost verbatim. All right, Philip Cohen, you indicated that you recalled the temperature of the water in the hot tub in 2003. Jane Doe 1 says, no, I did not indicate that. So you have no recollection of what the water temperature of the jacuzzi was. And I believe I must have left off her answer. I believe she said, no, I didn't say that. Is it correct to say that you have no recollection of the water temperature of the jacuzzi? And for some reason, I don't have her answer noted. So do you remember something about the water temperature in the jacuzzi? And she's like, well, it wasn't cold. She goes, it was a jacuzzi. It was jacuzzi water. So when did you take note of the water temperature of the jacuzzi? And she goes, well, I wasn't freezing when I got in. I would have, if I got in the jacuzzi and it was cold and I was like, oh, it's freezing, I would have remembered that. It was just jacuzzi water. Okay. Did you ever say anything to the LAPD as to anything about the water temperature of this jacuzzi? I swear to God, guys. And then, do you recall the first time you made any mention of remembering the water temperature? Do you recall if the first time you ever made any mention of remembering the water temperature was after 2021? And at this point, Jane Doe 1 goes, I'm not even sure of what you're asking. Guys, neither was anyone else. He never made the point. He never got to the point of why in the world he was asking about the temperature of the jacuzzi. Now, we can infer that he was trying to impeach her, like, oh, you said something about the water temperature in this date, but you didn't say it in this date. And that, guys, has been the theme of the entire cross-examination. You said something to this person at this time, but you didn't happen to have already mentioned that exact thing at this earlier time. And I'm left as an observer going, are we supposed to infer that because she didn't mention specifically something about the water temperature in this interview, but she did in this interview, that she didn't get raped? Like that, guys, I have spoken with so many other people today who are in the gallery who have more expertise in this subject than me, being like, what's your take on this? And the feedback I've been getting is that today was a shit show for the defense. Okay, let me see. I do have some actual examples. I'm obsessed with giving you guys some more examples about this. Actual back and forth. Oh, we're still talking about the jacuzzi. Oh. From the jacuzzi, you indicated that carried you from the jacuzzi. And Jane Doe 1 says, well, no, not from the jacuzzi. I got out of the jacuzzi. I was on the tile floor. He carried me off the tile floor. And he goes, this was in 2004. Could your memory maybe be a bit off? And she goes, well, I mean, paraphrase, she was like, yeah, of course. Any memory could be a bit off. And it's like, did you tell Officer Schlegel that Danny, in fact, had helped you into the house? And we're left sitting here going, so helped her instead of carried her? So like, if he helped her instead of carried her, does that mean he didn't rape her? Like, is that what we're supposed to take away from this? Is this just supposed to be like murder by death by 1,000 paper cuts? So you get a little tiny details wrong, and we're supposed to think she got the biggest of the details wrong? Oops. Like maybe he's carried me, supported, because it is true. In Jane Doe 1's testimony, she does sort of say like carried like this, like legs and back. And yet it sounds like in some of her earliest interviews, she used different language, like assisted or helped or guided or led or took or whatever. And Jane Doe 1 had an amazing comeback to this. She said, look, I'm used to speaking in Scientology. And in Scientology, you would say he 8C'd me, except no one knows what 8C means. So I might have used some other words. And I thought that was a very honest answer. But guys, these are real examples. These are real examples. I'm going to give you another one, guys. I know this is tedious, but I got to share this with you. Okay. I have it in my notes. Actual back and forth. All right. When you went from the shower into the bedroom, do you recall the lighting in the bedroom? Jane Doe 1 says there was not much lighting. There was almost zero lighting. Was there some lighting? There was lighting kind of coming from a hallway or the bottom of a closet somewhere. He goes, was it pitch black? She said, maybe like right when you walked into the space, it would be pitch black. And then maybe your eyes would adjust, And what's amazing is that as Jane Doe is answering these questions, I feel like she's painting a very vivid picture for everyone in the audience, the jurors in the gallery, of what she's experiencing. Cohen's just acting like it's incomprehensible to him. Okay. So, okay. what the lighting of the room was now. What the lighting of the room was now, would you say it was pitch black? And Jane Doe goes, well, when? Like when? Do you mean right when you walk in the room or after a while? And he goes, after the first minute of being in the room in 2003, would you have said now that it was pitch black? And she goes, well, I don't recall any light. I just remember hitting the bed, passing out unconscious. He goes, when you interviewed with Reyes in 2017, did you say it was really pitch black in there? And she goes, yeah, that sounds accurate to me. That sounds like something I would have said. And he goes, did you say it was so black? In fact, it was so black that at one point you were crawling on the ground and you could not see where you were going. And she goes, yeah, that sounds accurate because, you know, there's a door in the room and there's a light in that closet. And I remember seeing the light coming through the bottom of the door, but I couldn't see anything else. And she says, and I crawled towards that door thinking it was actually the door to the exterior hallway. But in fact, it was a closet. That's how I basically ended up in a closet. I meant to crawl out of the bedroom, but I ended up crawling into the closet. And he goes, when you say that's not accurate, what do you mean? What was, I'm getting my notes a little mixed up here. What was the wording I used? I could tell you. Oh, okay. So he said, did you say X? And she goes, well, that's not accurate. And he goes, well, then what is accurate? And she goes, well, if you show me the transcript of the wording, I could tell you if it sounds accurate to me. Okay. Okay. Then the judge steps in and basically says, pursuant to this earlier ruling I've already made, you need to ask your next question. Okay. So then he goes, you've interviewed for a number of hours, correct? You had an interview with this detective. Yes, interviewed in person for a number of hours. Reyes gave you whatever time you needed to answer all the questions, correct? She goes, yes, some yes, some no. And he goes, whatever you said to Reyes in 2017, from your position, it would have been correct and accurate. Well, yes, I was being as forthcoming as I could, she said. When speaking about the lighting, did you indicate that it was so pitch black you didn't know what was going on? And she goes, yeah, that sounds reasonable. It sounds like something I would have said at that time in that interview. And he goes, and it would have remained that pitch black until the next morning. And she's like, no, that's not, I don't agree with that statement. And then he thought he was going to trap her. And he said, tell us, he put a photo up on the screen, a big screen of Danny's bedroom. And he goes, show us exactly what happened. Here's a stick. Here's a pointer stick. Show us exactly what happened and take us step by step through what happened. And when Danny showed you a firearm and you reached for the firearm and all that stuff. And so he has her tell this whole story, which she doesn't fumble at all, by the way. And the whole reason he was letting her tell the story was because he thought he was going to get her with a gotcha at the end and go, because in order to tell her story, she has to be able to see Danny and see Danny's face and sort of see the firearm. And remember, she already said that once your eyes adjusted, it was no longer pitch black, right? So she tells this whole story. And then he goes, well, I guess it wasn't that pitch black then, was it? And then the judge goes, all right, everybody, we're taking a break. So the jury and Danny Masterson's face when the judge decided to break right at that point was like, what are you doing? How can you let her tell that whole story right there just to try to impeach her on whether the room was pitch black? And then the judge calls break. You didn't even time it right. Then the judge calls break. Now they're sitting with that. It was a whole lot of that, you guys. It was a whole lot of that. My goodness. Okay, guys, I'm going to jump over to the comments real quick. By the way, in 15 minutes, we are starting our Tuesday with Mike and Mark and Amy. And bear with me, guys, because I just realized I need to go into the little back studio here and program a redirect from this video to the next video. Okay, so I just did that. Okay, so if you're watching with me now, when I hit end, you're automatically going to be redirected to the next scheduled live stream. All right, everybody, I'm jumping over to the comments. I got to scroll all the way back up to the beginning. Hey, we got 2,100 people watching right now. Do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's totally free and easy. It takes you 1 second, and it might even help YouTube push out notifications to everybody who's asked for them and never gets them. Okay, let's see here. Shelly Knapp, one of your viewers thought Leah was saying, watch the Church of Scientology sell Drano in the intro. No, she says, what is Scientology so afraid of? By the way, Leah wanted me to specifically mention the reason she wasn't in court today is because she verified in advance that Jane Doe 1 had all the support people that she needed. And Leah had to cram today for like 3 college exams that she has this week. Do you guys know Leah is taking college courses? So anyway, she wanted me to say that. She's very sensitive about being able to show support for the Jane Does, and she wanted to be here today, but she couldn't. All right, let's see. Moving on. Magic Murr. The defense attorneys sound great. Sarcasm. Oh, by the way, speaking of people showing up, we had a whole mess of supporters in the courtroom today for the Jane Does. It was fantastic. We probably had at one point close to 20 people in like the normal section, the non-defense section of the courtroom. And Danny only had 5 people over there today. So a really strong showing, which was awesome. And by the way, that means we're going to get Claire Headley tomorrow. So, and court doesn't start until 9:30 tomorrow. They're going to give Cohen 45 minutes to wrap up. And she said, we are limiting redirect and recross, very short redirect, very short recross. That means we will have Claire Headley before lunchtime tomorrow. That's going to be awesome. Okay, E.G. Johnson, trial lawyer here. Oh, that's awesome. I'd like to talk to you, E.G. Johnson. Trial lawyer here. Not sure how the questions are relevant. Just because they're in the police report doesn't make them relevant. I mean, exactly. That's what a lot of people in the courtroom are wondering. I can tell you that. And again, I don't presume to know how to do Cohen's job better than he does. It's sort of fun for me to be able to armchair quarterback it from my relative state of ignorance. But I wasn't able to speak to any experts or pros today who seemed to think there was a logical, professional, strategic explanation for what he was doing, other than just trying to sow as much doubt as possible. I mean, really, it got as ridiculous as, how did you know it was Welch's grape juice in that cup? And she goes, because I have a vivid memory. And she said, I've never been able to place where in the timeline of everything this memory comes from, because it doesn't actually fit into any of my other memory bubbles. She goes, but I remember just staring at a container of Welch's grape juice, and I might be getting the juice wrong, and noticing that it had this condensation on it and thinking to myself, that thing should be in the fridge. And she goes, so I'm just assuming it's Welch's grape juice. He goes, isn't it true that you were in the kitchen? Did you get the glass from the kitchen? No, I didn't get the glass from the kitchen. Danny brought it out to me. Isn't it true that you got the glass from the kitchen, and that's how you know it was grape juice? And you're thinking to myself, whether she got the glass from the kitchen or Danny brought the glass to her on the patio, it still seems like she got raped. I mean, guys, where am I going wrong on this, guys? Okay, Prince Muskie. Do you think DM is jealous of Mark? Because his punching above his weight with Claire? Because I do. G'day from Sydney. Yeah, the amount of time that Miscavige spent trying to convince Claire to divorce Mark is pretty suspicious, right? He probably was jealous. I never thought about that. Yeah, he was probably jealous of the fact that they actually seemed to have a legit, real, caring, loving marriage, which is pretty rare in the Sea Org. And I think, and not something that Miscavige and Shelley had, that's for sure. Okay, Pat Shore, where were all the objections from the DA? Pat, that's one of the funniest things. The judge herself makes her own objections. That's called, is it sua sponte? I'm going to get it wrong. I got to talk to my lawyer friend, Zach. Sua sponte. The judge has been doing her objecting so much, the DA doesn't even need to. Now, the DA has jumped in with a lot of objections today. They have not been slacking off on that in any way, shape, or form. But the judge is objecting. No, you guys understand. The judge doesn't really sit there and say, I object. She says, asked and answered, irrelevant, rephrase, too broad, ask your next question. And she does it a lot. Okay, let's see. Michelle McIntosh, question, are we going to hear from Jane Doe 2 is what I think you're saying there. Keep up the good work. We are going to hear from Jane Doe 2. We are. And I was reminded today that we're also going to hear from a couple of these officers, which, man, I remember reading that direct examination in the last trial, and that was brutally boring. It was so much, because all you have to talk to the officers about is the reports. Is it true that Jane Doe said this? I don't recall. Would reading the transcript refresh your memory? Sure. Read the transcript. Did that refresh your memory? Yes. Did Jane Doe 2 say this? Yes, she did. Thank you. Rinse and repeat times 100. I mean, I'm not looking forward to that. Okay, Lisa Robinson. Quick hello from work. Keep the good, my two fave. Wait. Quick hello from work. Keep the good, my two fave SP. Okay, Lisa, I got the general gist of what you're trying to say. Thank you very much. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat. John Sostowski, French dip. Yeah, John, I posted the photo to my community tab last night. I took my little zippity lime scooter all the way down to Felipe's. By the way, the correct pronunciation in French might be Philippe's, but the owners of the restaurant are not French. And my understanding is they do not condone or promote a correct French pronunciation. It does seem to be that Felipe's is how it's pronounced, even though it's an incorrect pronunciation. And the sandwich was great, and the macaroni salad was great, and the coleslaw was great, and the pie was great, and the Diet Coke was great. And it was so freaking cold last night, I couldn't even scoot back to the hotel. I had to take an Uber. So yes. And I found out that the other best French dip place is literally like 4 blocks from my hotel. So I'll probably go there tomorrow night. Thank you, John Sostowski. All right, scrolling down, guys. Our next live stream starts in 9 minutes. Fabian and Deal, keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you, Fabian. Thank you very much. Mina Myrna E. Hiron. There's no way it's Gyron. I know it's not Gyron. That's a very ignorant American pronunciation of that name. It's got to be Myrna Hiron. That's my guess. Okay. Denver Steve-O will be seeing a Dr. Leah in our future. Yeah, I don't think she's going for a doctorate. Or will she simply be the master? She's not even going for a master's degree. Right now, she's doing her undergrad. Did I hear you knocked out a priest in court today? Reverend Skip LaRue, or Pastor, Minister Skip LaRue, whatever you say. He was a no-show today, which is probably for the better. And the hate blogger, Scientology's Stand League hate blogger, was a no-show. Again, probably for the best. Great job today, and all day's good, sir. Thank you for all you do. Well, thank you so much, Denver Steve-O. Love seeing you in the chat each and every day. And yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Gleb Perch. Do you think a better lawyer could have done a better job? Or is the case just airtight against Masterson? Oh, I don't claim to say the case is airtight against Masterson. Airtight against Masterson would have probably resulted in a conviction in the last trial. I mean, there were some shenanigans with the jury and everything, but airtight's a very strong word. I actually don't know. Like, I sort of enjoy kind of, trolling Philip Cohen for doing a shitty job, but I'm not actually saying he's doing a shitty job. I'm saying it looks like it. I don't know that he could do a better job with what he has to work with. I don't know another attorney could do any better. Like, Philip Cohen's getting paid an awful lot of money to create reasonable doubt in the jury. Maybe this is his best option, his best way of doing that. Do you see what I mean? Like, yeah, I know I'm kind of like armchair trolling him, but I'm not actually professionally criticizing him. Do you know what I mean? I'm just having fun, guys. I'm just having fun. All right, let's see. Moving on. Suzanne Oliver. Jane Doe 1 said she was suppressing David Miscavige. Is that because... Oh, I'm sorry, Danny Masterson. I'm sorry. Jane Doe 1 said she was suppressing Danny Masterson. Is that because going to jail equals Danny Masterson can't practice Scientology? That is the high crime. Oh, yes, absolutely. That is why reporting someone to the authorities in this case is considered a suppressive act. I believe Jane Doe 1 testified to having to like demonstrate how there's been a few mentions of demonstrating with demo kits, so I don't want to totally mischaracterize this part of the testimony, but she there was some part of her testimony that had to do with why it would be a suppressive act to report Danny to the authorities and have him go to jail and prison, is because it would prevent him from having Scientology applied to him. It would prevent the standard application of Dianetics in Scientology, and that is a suppressive act. In general, you could say a suppressive act in specific to Masterson, I guess. And that does ring a bell. I do think she said that. That would have been yesterday, not today. Okay, let's see. Lisa Robinson, sorry for my botched shorthand. Customers at work. Well, deal with the customers, Lisa. I appreciate you jumping in and saying hi and even making a super chat. I don't mean to pick on you. And thank you, Lottie, Tone Farty. I like that. That's funny. Wendy Clark, I'm so excited. This is the second live I've caught. Thank you for your coverage. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining the live chat, and thank you for the super chat. Let's see. Mr. Blue Sky, thank you and great work. Can I be an honorary SP? 100% you can be an honorary SP. All right, guys. That's it. I guess I should hide this current comment. Guys, we got 2,800 people in the chat watching live right now. Please hit that like button for me. It helps with notifications. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. In 5 minutes, we're starting our live chat simultaneous stream with Mike Rinder, Mark Headley, Amy Scobie. Stay tuned. As soon as this one ends, you're going to be automatically redirected to that stream. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who's going to stick around for the next one. And I'll talk to you in a few minutes.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click